Oh, there we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello there, Mike. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing fine. And yourself, Lauren?
Doing good. Thank you for a Thursday before the holiday next week. Super
Yeah. So,
exciting.
what are your plans? Where are you going to go?
I think I'm just going to be home. There's an event in Long Beach called Big Bang on the Bay. So we'll be going off to that. So it's on the 3rd of July. So we'll have fireworks on the 3rd and then fireworks on the 4th.
Nice. I live
Yeah.
in Marina Del Rey, and for those of you who are familiar with it, there's an annual display here of fireworks, and they block off the entire, basically the entire section of the marina. But we can walk across the street and see it, so it's great.
Oh,
And
that's
that's what we're going
awesome.
to do. Yeah,
That's always fun.
right.
We've got about a handful of folks, a little bit over. Do you want to go ahead and get started? I can give
Yeah,
it
once you do the introduction.
All right, let's do it. Now why? There we go. So again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lauren Simpson. I am with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. And just a quick intro into who it is that we are and what we do. We are a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, and we offer no-cost services to local small businesses. Now, our services are at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of our fees. For the Los Angeles network, which is the network that I represent, we have locations throughout the Los Angeles, Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. So if you look at the map in front of you, you'll see those physical locations. You'll see that we're in Camarillo and Santa Clarita, and we go all the way over to Pasadena, out to Laverne, throughout Los Angeles, the South Bay, down into Long Beach. Now, I mentioned those tax dollars in our free services. Here is a deeper dive into what it is that we do and offer. We offer no-cost business advising, and so you're able to sit no cost, one-on-one with one of our business experts. Of course, we call them advisors, and they specialize in various fields, from marketing to taxes and finance, to if you are a handyman looking to go into construction, we have someone for you. And then if you're looking to just start out and you want to write a business plan, we have someone for you. We also offer virtual trainings, much like the training you've joined today. Those are going to be comprehensive workshops that assist you in beginning your business, adapting your business, or growing it. So now that I've gotten all that out the way, please be sure to get in contact with us. We'd love to help you and assist you throughout your entrepreneurial journey. Please go to smallbizla.org/new client, or you can call us at 866-588-7232. And then if you've reached us outside of our service area, so that means you're outside of the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, or Ventura counties, please go to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC. With that, Mike, I'm going to quickly stop the screen share, and then housekeeping before you get started. So for those of you who have joined us today, please be sure to put all questions into the Q&A. Again, questions into the Q&A, and then the chat will be reserved for any links or information we'd like to share with you. Mike loves interaction and engagement, so as questions are asked, please throw your comments into the chat, and then again, any questions into the Q&A. With that, Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you for that, and hope everyone's going to have a great weekend. I'm curious. I suggest that you put maybe a business or what you do into the chat room, so we have a sense of who's joining us. We have a relatively small group today. I understand why. Today, I'm going to be focusing on liens. Over the past couple of weeks, for those of you who have not joined us, we've been focusing on a hypothetical brick and mortar store in Santa Monica, a toy store, because I love toys. And what goes along with that, let us assume that someone has to, like me, for example, buy the property. I choose to buy the property, and now I have to actually remodel the store, do leasehold improvements. So therefore, I have to get a loan for that, probably a 504 loan. By the way, we do have an access to capital team. I am a member of that access to capital team, and we focus on helping you get financing for the business, typically through SBA loans, and this particular loans associated with acquiring property, commercial property. You can put as little as 10% down. It's called a 504 loan. So with that, what came to mind is that there's liens. There's liens placed on equipment. There's liens placed on commercial property, residential property, on vehicles. So I wanted to get everybody a sense of what a lien is, the different types of liens and how it works. So with that, I'm going to go forward with the presentation. And as Lauren says, I do prefer participation as opposed to me just talking to a screen. All right. So, by the way, we are headquartered out of Long Beach City College. Lauren, are you there right now? Are you at the office? Why don't you tell people where we're at?
So for the Long Beach SBDC Center, we are at 4900 East Conan Street. Yeah, I don't know that we're doing in-persons as of yet, but you can definitely reach out to us via email or the phone number. Mike actually has it on the screen right now. It's at 562-938-5100, and we can get you connected with someone.
Thank you for that. It's a beautiful space, by the way. I've been there many times, and hopefully at some point we will resume in-person one-on-one sessions, but that hasn't yet been decided. I've been an advisor with the SBDC since 2016. I have a finance and accounting background and a law degree. I have my own consulting practice outside of the SBDC, where I help people raise money, sell companies, buy companies, called mergers and acquisitions. I also work for another organization, CMTC, which helps people in the manufacturing sector throughout the state of California. So what is a lien? It's a notice that's attached to assets used as collateral for any debt, okay? It's collateral. It could be your personal home, could be a commercial building, it could be equipment. But what that means, whoever places that lien on that property can potentially foreclose on the property, take it from you. Okay, and this happens quite frequently when you borrow money from a lender. There could be a mechanic's lien placed by a contractor when they do work. So here we have an example. There's my toy store. There's my vision of it. Okay, on the screen. And so I have to hire a contractor. That contractor has to hire the trades, and actually I have to hire an architect first, who then refers me to a contractor. The trades do all the work. They put up the building. The contractor, the general contractor, pays the trades, but the general contractor, and oftentimes the actual trades, will place a mechanic's lien on the project, on the building, because they want to be sure they're paid. So that's one type of lien. There's a mechanic's lien, and the timelines associated with placing mechanic's liens. I'm going to go through the various types of liens. So here's a chart I found on the internet. I thought it was quite a good chart that we go through it because it lays it all out in a summary format. So you have a mortgage lien, a judgment lien, an attachment lien, and I'm going to explain all of these, an estate tax lien, a corporate franchise tax lien, where you don't pay a franchise tax bill that comes due every year. The federal, there could be a federal tax lien because you haven't paid your federal taxes. A mechanic's lien is when a contractor or a trade places a lien on some work you've contracted them to do. There could be a vendor's lien, a vendor's lien, and if you get into trouble with the law, it could be a bail bond lien placed on your vehicle or your home. And if you don't pay your utilities, there could be a utility lien. Okay, and there's different, let's say, flavors of these types of liens. It could be a general lien, which means the lien is placed against everything that you own. It could be a specific lien, which is placed against specific assets or properties. There could be a voluntary lien. You're agreeing to a mortgage. Therefore, you are voluntarily signing off on the paperwork in agreeing to a mortgage lien. There could be a voluntary process for a judgment lien. Most of them are involuntary liens, which means you don't have a choice about it. You have the choice in the fact that you could have paid your taxes, but you chose not to. So these are involuntary liens. And then we have various entities, companies, business organizations filing these liens. So a mortgage lien most typically is filed by a lender. Although a mortgage lien could be filed by someone that is carrying back a mortgage. So it could be an owner financed mortgage. So that's a lender in that sense. It may not be a bank. A judgment lien will be filed by a civil court. An attachment lien will be filed by the sheriff in the county. The IRS or state government agency could file an estate tax lien for failure to pay taxes against the estate. The FTB, we all know the FTB, the Franchise Tax Board, they can file a lien against your business and against your properties. The IRS, of course, can come after you. Mechanics lien filed by contractors. Vendors liens and vendees liens don't come up too often. I'll explain that a little later. And then we have bail bonds. That does come up more frequently than it should, by the way. And then the utilities can file the liens. The vast majority of these liens are filed with the county because the county is where you record your property. When you buy a piece of property, it's recorded at the LA County Registrar's Office or the Orange County Registrar's Office, etc. So therefore, the vast majority of these liens are placed through the county clerk. It could be at the Secretary of State site too. We're going to go through that. Lauren, does this make sense to you thus far? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the chart's awesome too.
Yeah, I thought it was a great chart. So I'm going to put it back up again. So keep in mind, there's general types of liens, specific types of liens, voluntary liens, and involuntary liens. By the way, I don't believe in recreating the wheel. So I found this on a site called Aceable, and that's why I put the logo up there. Now, a notice of state tax lien can be recorded with one or more county recorders for real property, but a notice of tax lien can be filed with the California Secretary of State, and that's against personal property. By the way, that also includes sales and use taxes that you don't pay, not just personal property taxes or real property taxes, because the state of California takes that very seriously. You are required to have a seller's permit in the state of California to sell physical goods, and you are required to collect that sales tax and pass it on to the California Secretary of State, actually to the CDTFA. If you fail to do that, it could be serious consequences, including liens placed against your personal property and real property, and it happens. So remember the lien classifications we had general versus specific liens. A general lien covers everything you own, essentially. It can cover all the property a debtor owns, but just a few properties, which would be delineated in the lien. An IRS tax lien would be against everything that you own, okay? A specific lien affects specific properties. So mortgage is a lien against your home, but not a lien against your vehicle. That's a specific lien. And remember, if you buy commercial property, let's assume I'm going to buy that property in Santa Monica. I wish I could. And I have a mortgage. That mortgage would be placed against the commercial property, and the lien would be against the commercial property that I own. Okay. Once the property is covered under a specific lien or exhausted, then the lien holder has no right. So once that property is, has been sold to satisfy a lien, it may not be enough to satisfy a lien. Perhaps the property has gone under market value and under mortgage value, underwater. And the only way out is to sell it. It's called a short sale. Well, there's nothing more the lender can really do because the lien has been placed against the property, the specific property. So there's voluntary liens and involuntary liens. The voluntary liens is where the property owner voluntarily grants a lien to a creditor. So deeds of trust and mortgages are perfect examples of voluntary liens. Involuntary liens are statutory liens. You don't have a choice in the matter, like a tax lien. Unless you pay your taxes, it can be enforced, and it happens quite frequently. And once that happens, and if it goes on for too long, let's say you don't pay your county property taxes for your real estate, your condominium or your home, the county at some point can take the property and auction it off. They're called tax lien auctions or tax lien deeds. And this happens quite a bit throughout the country. And there's an entire industry revolving around auction and sale of tax lien deeds. By the way, that was suspended in LA County, those auctions during the pandemic. They have now been reestablished. Chio, I understand you want to hear more about the ERC tax credit. However, this presentation is not about ERC. Let's keep the questions to the topic at hand. If you have a question you have about a particular topic not covered here, my suggestion is to contact Lauren, and you can speak to an advisor about that, including me. Someone has said they have received a lien from the IRS. What's the risk at this point if she doesn't pay? Will they take the home without notice? Will they sell it before she talks to them? No. The IRS will always give you an opportunity to resolve the matter, perhaps put a person into a payment plan. So nothing's going to happen unless there's some sort of discussion, conversation. That person, however, should hire a tax attorney to help them work through the process. If there is a lien placed on your property, do they need to notify you? Yes. There should be a notification to you. We'll go through that. All right. So now, here's the definitions of the various types of liens you saw in the previous chart. We have the mortgage lien. We have a judgment lien, which is levied by a court when someone fails to pay a debt. There's an attachment lien, which is placed against a property to prevent the owner from selling the property. That's an interesting case. Maybe you go into a divorce and one party, husband or wife, doesn't want the property to be sold. So they might go after an attachment lien, which means one person or the other person, husband or wife, will not be able to sell that property until the divorce is finalized or the court says so. There's an estate tax lien, which is placed against the property to prevent the owner from selling the property I repeat myself here, but estate tax lien is placed when you fail to pay your estate taxes. The franchise tax lien, failure to pay your franchise tax fees due every year, annually, can result in an involuntary corporate franchise tax lien. We have all been extended 6 months to pay our franchise taxes and personal taxes due to the natural disasters that occurred in California. But still, they're due by October 15th for personal taxes and by September 15th for corporate taxes. Judgments. A court can levy a judgment you when someone fails to repay a debt, and therefore a lien can be placed against your property. Of course, the IRS can come after you. It's called an involuntary federal tax lien, and can go after companies and citizens. Mechanics liens, I'm going to explain a lot more about, but this is where contractors and suppliers can place a lien, and they will, against your property to be sure that they get paid. A vendor's lien allows real property sellers to repossession. I'll say it again. A vendor's lien allows real property sellers to repossession. It's a specific voluntary lien when a seller finances a sale. Remember I said a seller can finance a sale? And they can take possession back of the property through a vendor's lien. A vendee's lien protects buyers from developers who fail completion. So the lien is placed against the development. And then, of course, we have the bail bonds. This is a lien placed against real property or your vehicles if someone fails to pay in court. And then municipal utility. If you fail to pay your utilities, at some point, the utility can come after you and place a lien against your property. How often does that happen? I'm not sure, but it can happen. Let me continue on from there. I think there's a question. Is the county info public, or do you have to call in? No, it is public, but you have to do a search for it. But it is public record. All liens are public record. The public record at the state level and the public record at the county level. For you to understand the different types of liens, you need to understand the UCC. The UCC stands for the Uniform Commercial Code. The Uniform Commercial Code is a set of laws that all the states, or the vast majority of states, territories, and possessions of the United States have agreed to abide by for commercial law. The state of California has also adopted the Uniform Commercial Code. This is not something coming down from the federal government. This is a voluntary action by the states to adopt the UCC. So it's a comprehensive set of laws governing all commercial transactions in the United States. Keep in mind that there's a balance between states' rights and federal rights. And in order to make things easier for trade, this uniform commercial code was developed such that the rules would be the same in every state. They don't have to be, because the states can act in a way irrespective of any other state, so long as it doesn't violate the US Constitution. Thus, in many cases, we have different laws in different states for different things. But in this case, the states that have adopted the UCC basically follow the same rules. And I have given you links here to the UCC code. And Lauren, I'm going to present this to you. I'll send this to you. And if anyone writes to you for this presentation, you can provide it to them. Additionally, Lauren, perhaps you can put the link in to our YouTube channel so they can see this if they want to, and the other recordings, okay? All right, so what is the UCC statement? It's a legal notice filed by creditors. And they are publicly, which means it's readily available for someone to see, declare their rights to obtain the personal properties, real properties of debtors who default on their business loans. Is often known as a UCC-1. You've probably heard that term before. And oftentimes they're printed in local newspapers to alert the masses of the creditors' intentions. They are required for all business loans. So you take a business loan to the SBA or any other lender, a UCC will be filed. You need to check to be sure that the UCC has been released if you have paid off your business loan, because not all lenders do that. Not everybody is conscientious about following up on these liens. So I've been in situations where applying for loans for various businesses, and I've had to go in and check the UCCs that have been filed in various states, not just one state. I could have properties in multiple states to be sure that the UCCs have been released. And if they haven't, you have to go back to the lenders, prove to them that the loan has been paid off, and they have to release it. You can't release it. It's up to the debtor, the lenders, to release the UCC. Let me continue on from there. So when are they used? They're issued against real property and equipment, and lenders use them on, while lenders can use UCC filings on title vehicles, typically those liens are usually filed directly on the vehicle's title, okay? So lenders can file liens on many types of assets, including commercial instruments, factoring contracts, inventory, securities, equipment, letters of credit, office equipment, real estate receivables, as well as vehicles. You can do a UCC search at the California Secretary of State's office. And that is also where the lien is filed at the California Secretary of State. There's something called biz file. And I will, if we have time, I'll show it to you. If you're purchasing equipment for your business, especially if it's used, you should check to be sure there's no UCC liens against the equipment, because if they are, the lender can come after that equipment and take it from you, even though you bought it from someone else, because those liens need to be released. And you need to do a search to be sure all liens are released. Now, this is a form filed at the California Secretary of State's office for a judgment lien. This is where a court has ordered a lien placed. All the forms look the same. The debtor's name, the organization's name, the judgment creditor's name, and the title of court where judgment was entered, title of the action, etc. It's just a form, okay? And this form will be filed should there be a judgment against you. These forms are available at the state level at the California Secretary of State's office, okay? This is a notice of attachment. We talked about attachments earlier, okay? So it's a very similar form that we've seen before, you know, organization name, etc. It's just a form. That's all it is. But the form has import, and the form is important to understand. So if you get an attachment lien and you satisfy the attachment, then you need to be sure that the lien has been released to the California Secretary of State's office. These are the fees associated with filing these types of forms at the state level. So online, it's $5. Okay, you can make changes to these forms, $5. So it's not expensive for someone to file a lien, it's very easy. Keep that in mind, okay? Because these are nominal fees. Now, there's a site that I saw last night or earlier today that has all sorts of information about mechanics liens. We're moving on to mechanics liens, okay? These are liens that are filed by contractors. And I've put the link here to it where it has a lot of explanations. I'm going to suggest that you write to Lauren and you get a copy of this presentation if you're interested in the subject matter, and you can click on these links because they're all there. Now, I've summarized it, a lot of this in this presentation. So this is covered, mechanics liens are covered through the California Civil Code, Section 8400. And they are placed by direct contractors, subcontractors, material suppliers, equipment lessors. That's right, people who lease you equipment. Laborers, design professionals, but laborers not in the sense of employees of contractors, but people who might be doing work at your building. So let us assume I hire an architect to design my toy store in Santa Monica. And I don't pay that architect. Well, whether or not I pay him, the architect's going to file a preliminary notice, which we'll go over, okay? That contract will probably have a 10% withholding. So he doesn't get paid, or she doesn't get paid all of the monies. Not as this contract get paid all the monies until there's a final walkthrough, called a withholding. So once there's a final walkthrough, and we agree that everything's okie dokie, then the final payment is made to the general contractor or the architects if the architect hires general contractor. And oftentimes, if this is funded through a bank, the bank will actually release the funds directly to the contractor, not you, because they want to be sure that the funds are being used appropriately for the project, for leasehold improvements. So these are the folks that can file a mechanics lien against a commercial property, right? And if they don't file a lien, then they can enforce their rights. Keep that in mind. And if you are a professional, like an architect, general contractor, subcontractor, you need to have a process in place to filing liens. The IRS, so there's questions. Leslie, the information is publicly available at the county site and at the state of California site. And liens against property are filed at the county site. So if there's a specific lien like a mortgage, it's filed at the county site because that's where we register our properties. Okay. Let me continue on from there. So how to file a mechanics lien? 3 steps. You send a preliminary notice. It's called a 20-day notice. And it notifies the owners of the property that a lien is going to be placed. It is mandatory to submit it. You can't, if you are a contractor, you cannot collect, you cannot go after or file a mechanics lien unless you file a preliminary notice. It's a 20-day notice, which I'll explain. Then, if you're actually going to go through the process of filing a lien, and someone hasn't paid you, then you should be submitting a notice of intent to lien. So you haven't actually filed a lien yet. You send a preliminary notice, someone hasn't paid you, then you send a notice of intent to lien. So if you've been working on a project but have yet to be paid, you'll send this notice as final warning. Or if you receive one, then you need to resolve it. Or else then what will happen is the mechanics lien will be filed. So the notice of intent to lien gives you one last chance to pay the amount due to the contractor. Okay. And if that doesn't happen, then the mechanics lien is issued. And then possibly the mechanic, being the contractor, may go after your property, take it from you. It's possible. Take back the equipment. Okay, that's how it works. Now there's deadlines associated with these steps. By the way, there's a few options. You can choose as a contractor to release the lien and say, this isn't worth fighting. I don't recommend that. You can extend the deadline to enforce a lien, or you go after the lien in court. You get a judgment, and you get the property. They go from there. All right. So it's called a 20-day notice because subcontractors and suppliers in California must serve a preliminary notice on the owner, prime contractor, and lender, if any, within 20 days of first providing materials or labor. 20 days. If they don't do it within 20 days of first providing materials and labor, they cannot submit a mechanics lien. There might be a late notice, but that's only effective for work done in the preceding 20 days. So maybe the project going on for 3 months. A tardy notice is only effective for the work done in the preceding 20 days. So if you're a contractor, if you're a general contractor, subcontractor, you should be serving those preliminary notices on the owner within 20 days of providing materials or labor. And I've been involved in this. What we used to do is send it off by certified mail, not by email, not by U.S. Postal Service. We sent it off certified mail because we wanted the signature. Oftentimes, people would say, the business owners, well, I never received the notice. Prove it to me. I never got the notice. Yeah, I can prove it to you because it's signed off on it. Now we're going to file a notice of intent to lien. I've done these things. And then they say, no, you can't do that. I say, yes, I can. Here's proof of your signature. And then it's a much easier conversation to collect the money. Now, some people are just absolutely insistent on not paying because they're not happy with the work. They refuse to do a final sign off. They're breaching the contract. In which case, I've gone in with attorneys to file claims in court and won because of breach of contract for people to failure to pay against the contract. And we have enforced liens. It does work. It happens quite a bit. So California's deadline to file a mechanics lien is 90 days after the completion of the project. 90 days after the completion of the project. So what's the completion of a project? A business owner will sign off a notice of completion. So along the way, work is being done. The scope of works that are changing, there's change orders associated with the construction work, and all that gets signed off and dealt with. At some point, there's a final inspection, and a notice of a completion is signed off by the business owner. At that point, the count starts. 90 days from that point is when the mechanics lien can be filed. Okay. Sometimes it's shortened to 30 days from the date the notice is filed. So if there's a notice of completion was filed, the deadline for subcontractor suppliers and other subject parties is shortened to 30 days. There's sometimes a debate as to when the completion is. Was the final walkthrough the completion? Maybe, maybe not. Because there might be some things that are required to be done even after the walkthrough. And then it's another walkthrough. Okay. The enforcement deadline, 90 days. So we have 20 days, 90 days, and 90 days. Know these dates if you're involved in construction. Know them. You need to understand them. The enforcement deadline can be extended if the owner agrees to extend the credit and the owner and claimant both sign an extension document. So it can be extended, but both have to agree to it. So the action to enforce must be commenced within 90 days after the expiration of the credit, unless there's an extension. But in no case more than 1 year after completion of the work of improvement. Now, what this is an actual preliminary notice. I've filled out numerous thousands of these, hundreds of these, not thousands. It's a very simple document. You know, the claimant, whoever is the contractor is, puts their name here. This is available. I think I put a link in here to this. What the type of work is, the improvement located, where it's located, and who the work is done for. And the preliminary notice is being served on the owner. Again, I'm suggesting that you don't send this by email, and you do not, sometimes you can hand deliver it, but the better choice is to send it signed receipt through USPS. So there's no debate as to whether or not they received it. And here's the requirements associated with these preliminary notices. It's a legal document. Keep that in mind. And it's informing people that a lien is going to be placed. Okay, must be sent within 20 days of first furnishing labor or materials to the project. Do you have to sit in California? Yes. Okay. However, there are two types of parties that are exempt from notice requirements: a pure laborer, and anyone with a direct contractual relationship with the property owner is only required to give preliminary notice to the construction lender. There is some exception, but the vast majority of time, send out the preliminary notice in order to enforce your rights. Okay, that's the way it works. Now, let me continue on from there. So we file the mechanics liens in the county that we're in, or where the project is being conducted, actually. And that's what it says here. We have the LA County Recorder's Office. So if the project's in LA County, then yes, you record your lien with the LA County Recorder's Office. And the LA County Recorder's Office has certain requirements. The property must be, located in LA County, of course. It has to be authorized or required by law to be recorded, which it is. Must be original signatures. And unless the document is a certified copy issued by the appropriate custodian of the public record, must be properly acknowledged, etc. The standard forms for these mechanics liens meet all these requirements. It's not a problem. It costs $3 to file a mechanics lien with the County of Los Angeles. And this is what the form looks like. It's just a fill-in form. That's all it is. It's easy to fill out. But this is filed after someone, you do the work. You file your notice, you file the lien, okay, you do the work. But then you release the lien after you're paid. That's how it works, okay? And this is a form, this actually links to the actual form that you can use. All this meets the requirements, okay? And this actual form also goes to the owner of the property, right? Because it's noticing them of the lien claim action. It's standard practice to just file a lien until the project is paid for. Okay. And anyone involved in construction, for the most part, understands these requirements. Now, let's assume there's a walkthrough, everything's done, everything's hunky-dory, all payments have been made, there's no withholding left. The last thing that the contractor should do is release the lien. The property owner can't do that. They're not the one who filed it. Remember, it's an involuntary lien. It is the contractor that needs to release the lien. And it's just another form filed with the county office. Has to be notarized. That's to prevent fraud. So oftentimes, the work is done, signed off, final payment is made, but the contractor just forgets or ignores, it doesn't have a process in place to release the lien. Then you have to go after the contractor and potentially file a lawsuit for failure, because that's a breach of contract. That's part of the contractual requirements. Sometimes it's just, I forgot. Didn't realize it, don't have a process in place. It just fell through the cracks. That's the vast majority of time when the lien is not released. But always check to be sure that the liens are released if you're the person paying the contractor. That's what I have on that. So let me see what I'm going to go back to the top of this list where we have that chart, and then we'll address the questions. By the way, we have someone, I think Lauren mentioned earlier, handyman, construction, contracting. We have people that specialize in that area. I'm not one of, although I worked in construction, I am not one of those people who's by any means an expert, but we do have people who are experts. Let's see, we have questions. Can I ask a question about an erroneous property tax late charge, or should I contact someone else? So Cherie, for that question, I suggest you make an appointment with an SBDC advisor, and we'll do our best to help you out. But keep in mind, we don't provide direct service. Okay, we provide advice and guidance. If an account is passed a collection, is that guaranteed that money will not be served as a lien? No, absolutely not. Oftentimes, the collection agencies will file a lien. No, it is not guaranteed the money will not be served as a lien. Leslie? Okay, so that's it for questions. Let's see what we have in the chat room. Lauren, you put your address in. And so Lauren's address is in the chat room along with the YouTube playlist. Feel free to reach out to us. Lauren could put you in touch with anyone that can help you with your particular challenge or need. And if we don't have an answer, we have resource partners that do. Okay, so that's what I have for today. I want to wish everybody a good holiday. And Lauren, thank you so much for hanging in there with me.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good holiday. Be safe, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.